Hey friends, hello, how you doing today? Okay, today you are welcome to my channel. I am making a turban using this damask. This fabric in my hands, or this material in my hands, is called damask, and it has some level of thickness, so it's not a very light material. So it has some level of thickness. So what I'm going to work with is the measurement that I'm showing you right now. The width is 34, and then the length is about 60 inches. So the turban pattern I would be creating today will require me to create a lot of pleats, and once you are pleating your fabric, definitely it will begin to reduce. So I'm working with 60 by 34. So on this turban, I would be needing a separate part that I will be using as the band of the turban, which is the first base. So I will need to cut out the base, and the length, which is the length I would be using should just be about 20 or even less than 20, but 20 is okay because I would need to attach handle on both sides. So 20 is fine. So I would be using the remaining material in my hands for the handle, and you can work with 4 by 10 or 4 by 12 as the case may be. So let's just say the handle is 4 inches by 10, and I'm using 2, and then the base is 6 inches by 20. All right. So right away, this turban is not going to take so much of our time, except for the fact that I would need to explain some of the parts clearly to you. So I would start to pleat, but before I do that, I would need to leave at least 2 inches in front of the plate. I'll tell you why I have to leave that later. All right. But just know that they have to be at least 1 or 2 inches that you are not going to pleat at the beginning before you start your first pleat. And then in these tutorials today, I would be showing you two different ways you can do this pleat. So the first thing we do is to fold the first pleat, and that's what I have folded, leaving at least 2 inches in front of the pleat. So to make this separate pleat, this pleat does not really rest on itself. This particular one I'm doing now, I would be holding a separate pleat again. So I would pleat and not rest it on the first pleat. So I would just like hold out the size of the pleat, turn it over, and sew it separately. So the two methods with which we can create this pleat is that you can sew it separately without having to rest it on the first pleat, and another method is that you can actually pleat and rest continuously on each other. What is the difference? The difference is that the one you sew separate need to rest the plate on each other as you sew. So now I am done with doing it separately. You can see how scattered is looking, and everyone is like, oh, I'm standing on my own. But now let's see how we can uh, make a different pattern by which the plate has to rest. So this is what we just do. You lay down the fabric, and then you take the size of the plate you want, and then you begin to sew it, determining the distance you want it from the other one. So one other major difference between these two things is that it's easier to determine the distance you want using this one that you are resting, but on the separate one, sometimes you find out you make some is big, some is small. because it's not really, you are not really like seeing exactly what you are doing like the way you will see it with this method, you understand. But whichever method you choose to use is perfect, the turban will still come out beautifully. So whatever pattern you are using is okay. All right, so remember I said the total length of the fabric I'm using is, the width is 34 and the length of the fabric is 60. So if you want your turban to be longer than mine, because you will see the height I will be able to get after this fold now. So if you want it to be longer, it means you will need to attach an additional fabric underneath the 60. So you can go like 90 inches, you can go like maybe 90, you can go less than 90. It's just a thing of choice, but the length I would be having is from 60 inches. Is that okay? All right. So one other important thing I should, or you should note, is the fact that at the beginning of this turban, we left at least 2 inches. That will enable us attach the base, which is the band of the turban, to the turban. And then at the back, which is the ending part also, we are expected to leave at least 2 or 3 inches, which will enable us as well to close the back effectively, because you don't want to close the back on top of your pleat. So you would need to leave at least 3 inches behind. It will help you to sew it easily. All right, so while attaching the band, because that's what I want to do now, while attaching the band, it is necessary that you make provision for the part of this band that you would be attaching the belt to. And take note that the band is separate from the pleat. Now, this band is the aspect of the turban that you would use to tighten the base of this turban and make it smooth. So you see that it is actually separate from the turban. So I am attaching handle to the band. You can attach handle or you can attach elastic to the band. All right, so now I am done fixing the band. I would be attaching the handle right away. So I made provision for the space where I would be attaching the handle, and you can see that I did not fix this band from edge to edge. So like I said before, I worked with 20 inches, and by the time you are leaving space to like fix the handle, you will end up working with at least 18 inches. Then you have like 1 inch for you to use in fixing the band. All right, it does not need to be too long. If it is, you will not be able to tie and make your base very smooth. So it is better that the band is not enough, like you are struggling to tie it, thereby making it very very fitted on your head, than it is too long. So you have to take note of that, that you don't have to make the band to be too long. All right, so now I am done fixing the both handles and you can see it. The next thing I would be doing is closing the turban. So when you want to close this turban, you have to ensure, because it's not a stretchy fabric, you have to ensure that the turban can fit into the head without struggle. All right, so most times when I close my non-stretchy turbans, I close with 12.5 or 12. Going less than 12 might be difficult to fit into the head, but 12 is very appropriate. So I go with 12, 12 or 12.5. Sometimes 13 might seem too wide, but 12 is a perfect measurement. All right, So I just went ahead and weave the turban, and you can see I am done with this training. So one very important aspect is that fold on the back of the turban. You don't have to do anything much to get that design coming out of your turban. The only thing you need to do is what you are seeing me doing now. You just create your loose stitches. Ensure that the thread that you are using is very thick. At least 8 strands of thread together would be thick enough for you to go through the process. All right. So now I am done with the loose stitches. I pulled it together, and you can just see the back. So because of the pleat, the design or the pattern on the back must come out because of the pleat. Remember, you pleated every part of this material to the end except for the part you left to enable you close it. So once you pull it together, the pleat will just like pop out, and you get this back design, and it's so cool, it's so beautiful. You can also add your embellishment to this turban if you like. All right, too much talking. If today is your first time stopping by my channel, please do not forget to subscribe before leaving.